Hey guys, so I'm just going to go over these and you can check them. But number one is F, two is C, H, A, I, G for 6, D as in dog for 7, B for 8, and E for 9. Okay, so let's get to some of the problems because this is kind of a lengthy study guide. Anyway, if A is the midpoint of CM, so here's C and here's M, and A's right here in the middle. We instantly know that these two pieces, CA and CM, are going to be the same measure. So it says find the length of AM. So I know that I want to find AM. If CA, I should probably get another color here, equals 2x minus 3, and CM, the entire segment, equals 5x minus 11. Okay, so if we know that this is 2x minus 3, we also know that this is 2x minus 3, right? Because they're the same since A is the midpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double this. So 2 times 2x minus 3 and set it equal to the length of the whole segment, 5x minus 11. All right, so I'm going to have 4x minus 6 equals 5x minus 11. All right, I'm going to move my x's over, minus 4x, and I'll end up with negative 6 equals x minus 11. And then I'll add 11 and add 11 and get x equals 5. All right, because negative 6 and 11 is 5. So now it asked me to find AM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 times 5 minus 3, which is 10 minus 3, which is going to be 7. So I now know that AM is equal to 7. Okay, so moving along, in the following diagram, C is the midpoint of AE. So the entire segment right here, C is the midpoint. And I'm just going to kind of redraw that so that I can kind of have a reference. And B is the midpoint of AC. So I'm going to redraw that, AC, and put B as the midpoint. Okay, so if AE, this whole segment, is equal to 28, and CD, which would be right here, is equal to 3, and AB, this guy right here, is equal to 7, find the values below. So they want us to find AC first. Well, AC, if we know that the whole distance from A to E is 28, we're going to do 28 divided by 2, and we're going to get 14. So that's going to give us AC. We know that AC is going to be 14. DE is going to be a little different. So what you want to do is kind of mark right here. We're going to figure or know that this portion is 14, right? As well as this portion is 14. Okay, so if I know that this is 14 and it wants me to find DE, this distance from here to here, I'm going to do 14 and subtract the 3, which is going to give me 11. So I know that DE is 11. Sorry, my lights keep going off in the classroom. Okay, next up, R, S, and T are collinear, S is between R and T. So again, I'm going to draw a diagram and put S between. It doesn't say midpoint, it just says between. So here's S and here's R and T. Okay, we know that RS is equal to 2W plus 1, and we know that ST is equal to W minus 1. And that RT, the whole segment, is equal to 18. So it wants me to figure out what RS is, but I'm also going to need to find W. So this is segment addition postulate, which means I'm going to take this part plus this other part and set it equal to 18. So 2W plus 1 plus W minus 1 equals 18. I'll combine like terms and I'll get 3W, right, from here and here. And my ones will cancel out, equals 18, and get W equals 6. Because I, again, divided by 3, and W equals 6. Okay, now that wants me to find RS. So to find RS, I'm simply going to plug it back in. 2 times 6 plus 1 is 12 plus 1, which equals 13. And we can move on to the second page. Since it's the morning, I'm going to have a sip of coffee with my cute new coffee mug. Thank you. Emma, Barbara Nell, if you're watching this, thank you so much. Okay, so JK and KM are opposite rays, so they form a line. And that line, remember, a straight line is always equal to 180. And KN bisects angle JKL. So here is angle JKL, and KN, this segment comes through and it bisects it. So these two angles are equal. Make sure to draw in congruency marks, which we did. Okay, so it says if the measure of JKN is equal to 8x minus 13, and NKL is equal to 6x plus 11, solve for the measure of JKN. Okay, well, since this is a bisector and that makes these two angles equal or congruent, we can simply set these two expressions equal to each other. So I'm going to do 8x minus 13 equals 6x plus 11. I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides, and I'm going to end up with 2x, add 13, and add 13, and have 2x equals 24. All right, I'll divide by 2 and divide by 2 and get x equals 12. Okay, and it wants me to find the measure of angle JKN. So the measure, that's what this little m stands for, is of angle JKN equals, well, let's plug it in. 8 times 12, not 2, big difference, minus 13, which equals 83 degrees. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Suppose JKL, 9y plus 15. So JKL, now we're going to say that this entire angle here is 9y, excuse me, 9y plus 15. And now we're going to say that JKN is equal to 5y plus 2. So we're still using the same diagram. We're just using different expressions. And we're still thinking or knowing that this is a bisector and these two angles are congruent. Okay, so remember, we know these two angles are congruent. So rather than wondering what this angle NKL looks like, we know that it's actually 5y plus 2. So what I'm going to do is double it, 2 times 5y plus 2, and set it equal to 9y plus 15. All right, so that's going to be 10y plus 4 equals 9y plus 15. All right, I'm going to subtract 9y minus 9y and get y, and minus 4, and y equals 11. Now it wants me to find JKL, which, keep in mind, that's this entire angle now. So to find JKL, I'm going to go ahead and plug in y. So 5 times 11 plus 2, 55 plus 2 gets 57. So I now know this is 57 degrees, and I'm going to double it because I want to know JKL, the whole angle. And that'll be 114 degrees. The measure of angle JKL equals 114 degrees. All right, so this angle is going to be drawn all over because now we want to figure that JKN, I'm going to just use a little white out here. Maybe you're using pencils, so I won't have all the scribble scrabble that I have. Okay, so suppose JKN is now 3x plus 30. And LKM, this angle right here, is going to be 2x. It wants me to find, this is a typo, find x and NKL, this angle in the middle. Oh, sorry. Okay, so remember, this is still bisected. So we know that this is 3x plus 30 also. And we know that this is 2x. We also know that because these are opposite rays, right here, this is a straight line, all right? And it's equal to 180 degrees. These angles all combine together to equal 180 degrees. So that's how I'm going to solve for x and NKL. I'm going to do 2 times 3x plus 30, add 2x for LKM, and set it equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so 6x plus, that's a 30, 60 plus 2x equals 180. All right, so we have 8x plus 60 equals 180. 8x equals 120, and x is going to equal 15. So x equals 15, and now we need to find the measure of angle NKL. So we can plug it into this angle right here, 3x plus 30, because we know that they're the same since this is a bisector. So NKL. All right, here we go. We're going to do 3 times 15 plus 30. 45 plus 30 is going to give me 75 degrees. All right, moving along to number 16. First thing that I'm going to do is recognize that I have two separate variables. I have an x and I have a y. So I can't set these equal yet because there's a y and there's an x, and I can't do them both at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look right here and see that these two angles, they form a straight line, right? Which is equal to 180 degrees. So I'm going to solve for my x first. I'm going to do 25x plus 8 plus this other angle, 9x plus 2, and set it equal to 180 degrees. All right, I'm going to combine like terms and get 34x plus 10 equals 180. I'll subtract 10 from both sides and get 34x equals 170. I'll divide by 34 and get x equals 5. Okay, so there's x. All right, now I can set these equal because they're vertical angles, but I'm going to plug my x in here first. So I'll do 7y plus 5 equals 9 times 5 plus 2. All right, so I've gone ahead where this x is, I've inserted it into this equation. So 7y plus 5 equals 45 plus 2. 9 times 5 is 45. 7y plus 5 equals 47. 7y equals 42, and y equals 6. All right, moving right along. Okay, angle 1 and 2 are supplementary. Hopefully by now you know that that means they add to 180. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a diagram. Here's angle 1, here's angle 2. If angle 1 equals 4x and angle 2 equals 8x, then find the measure of the angles. So first things first, I'm going to do 4x plus 8x and set it equal to 180 because together they form a straight line. 12x equals 180 and x would equal 15. Okay, now I just need to solve for each of the angle measures, right? So I'm going to do angle 1 is going to be 4 times 15, which will be 60. So the measure of angle 1 is 60 degrees. And then for angle 2, same thing. 8 times 15, which will be 120. So the measure, that M stands for measure, remember, of angle 2 equals 120 degrees. All right, angle 3 and 4 are complementary angles, meaning they add to 90 degrees. So I'm going to just draw a diagram, and here's angle 3, here's angle 4. The measure of angle 3 equals x plus 24, and the measure of angle 4 equals x. And find the measures of angles 3 and 4. Again, I'm going to use my angle addition postulate. So x plus 24 plus x equals 90 degrees. I'm going to combine like terms and get 2x plus 24 equals 90. 2x equals 66 and x equals 33. All right, so I need to find the measure of angle 4 first, which is simply x, and x equals 33. So I know that the measure of angle 4 is 33 degrees. All right, for angle 3, it just involves a little bit more problem solving. So angle 3, I'm going to do x, which I now know is 33. I'm going to add it to 24 and get 57. 57 degrees. Perfect. You can always check and make sure that 57 and 33 add to 90, and they do. So you know that it checks and works. Okay, two intersecting lines form angles. So here's an intersecting lines. If the two adjacent angles formed are 4x, so adjacent meaning they need to be connected, they need a common side. So adjacent, not across from each other. Here's one that's 4x, and the other is 5x minus 27. What is the measure of those angles? All right, well, if they're adjacent, they have to be forming a straight line here. All right, because you had crossing lines, but the only way crossing lines, right? And we know a line is equal to 180. The only way for them to be adjacent would be if they formed a straight line. So you're going to do 4x plus 5x minus 27 equals 180. All right. You'll simplify and get 9x minus 27 equals 180. And 9x equals 207. And x equals 23. All right. And now we're going to solve for these angles. So I'm going to do, I'll just call it angle 1 and angle 2 for now, just so I can keep track. The measure of angle 1, the measure of angle 2. And we're going to do 4 times x for this first angle. I mean, not x. 4 times 23. And we'll get 92. Okay. And for the measure of angle 2, I'm going to have to write a little bit smaller. 5 times 23 minus 27 is going to give me 88 degrees. Okay, and I can check, right? If it's a linear pair, they have to add to 180. So 92 plus 88 does equal 180. That checks out. All right, next up, vertical angles. Angles 1 and 2 are vertical angles. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I didn't skip a page. All right, so we know that they're across from each other. Either way, they can be across from each other. So we also know that they're congruent. So I'm going to say this is angle 1 and this is angle 2. 16x minus 9 and angle 2 is 4x plus 3. As soon as we know that they're vertical, we know that they're congruent or equal to each other. So we're going to set them equal. All right? All right, here we go. So 16x minus 9 equals 4x plus 3. I'm going to end up with 12x equals 12 and x equals 1. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plug them in. So for angle 1, I'll do 16 times 1 minus 9, which will give me 7. And for angle 2, I'll do 4 times 1 plus 3, which will give me 7. Perfect. They're both 7 degrees, which means that it checks out, right? Because they're vertical angles and they need to be congruent. All right, linear pair. So let's say this is L and this is P. Remember, linear pairs, they have to be adjacent. And when you add their angles together, the two angles, they must be equal to 180. So we need to find the measures of angle L and angle P. Well, angle L is equal to 4x and angle P is equal to 5x minus 27. This is very much like problem number 19. The same numbers, just described in a different way, if it sounds familiar to you. So same thing here. I'm going to do 4x plus 5x minus 27 and set it equal to 180. You'll see that I'm going to get the exact same numbers too. So 9x minus 27 equals 180. 9x equals 207. X equals 23. All right. It was the same problem, just worded a different way. So we should get the same answers. So for angle L, I'm going to do 4 times 23 and get 92 degrees. And for angle P, I'm going to do 5 times 23 minus 27 and get 88 degrees. I'll add them together just to make sure. And when they add together, you should get 180 degrees. All right, guys, We're getting there. We're getting to the end-ish, kind of. Only got like 50 more problems to go. Okay, again, another linear pair. So they're going to add to 180. Okay. Angle 1, angle 2. Wants you to find the measure of angle 2 at the end, though. So got to make sure that we're doing that correctly. All right, so angle 1 is 18x minus 1, and angle 2 is 23x plus 17. Okay, 18x minus 1 plus 23x plus 17 equals 180. All right, well, we know that they add together to create a straight line or a straight angle or equal 180. So I'm going to combine like terms. 41x plus 16 equals 180. And I'll get 41x equals 164. And when I divide it, I'm going to get x equals 4. Okay, I only need to find angle 2. So to find angle 2, I'm going to do 23 times 4 plus 17, 92 plus 17, and get 109 degrees. Okay, so number 23. We're going to be using this diagram over here. These questions aren't related to each other, but they are all using the same diagram. So angle 1 and angle 2, hopefully you can see these are right angles, because if this is 90 degrees, these two angles have to be 90 degrees because they form a straight line. So the measure of angle 1, which is 4x plus 13, plus the measure of angle 2 has to equal 90. So plus 3x plus 14, and it equals 90. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to combine like terms here. So 7x plus 27 equals 90. 7x equals 63, and x equals 9. Okay, we need to find the measure of angle 2, so we're going to plug it in. 3 times 9 plus 14 plus 14 is going to give me 41 degrees. Okay, so the measure of angle 1 now is 54, and the measure of angle 3, which hopefully you can see is vertical to angle 1, is 5x minus 6. Because they're vertical, I'm going to set them equal. 5x minus 6 equals 54. 5x equals 60. X equals 12. It only wanted me to find x, so here I go, x equals 12. All right, the measure of angle 4 equals 37. Find the measure of angle 2. Well, that's nice. They're vertical angles, so we know that the measure of angle 2 equals 37 degrees. Okay, here we go to proofs. Well, that sounded funny. Okay, this is your given. Yay for a given. And there's only one given, so we don't have to worry about any popping up down here. The first thing they did to get from this to this, they went ahead and subtracted. If you can see, they subtracted 6x from both sides. So subtraction, property of equality. I'm really abbreviating here right now because I don't want this video to be too long. All right, next up, they added 17 to both sides. So addition, property of equality. And then it looks like they divided both sides by 2. So division, property of equality. And then, of course, they flipped it, right? It was 12 equals x. Now it's x equals 12, so symmetric. All right. Over we go. Okay, so this is a very tricky proof. It's harder than anything that you'll see on your test, I think. So given that WY, which is right here, is congruent to XZ, so these two are congruent to each other. We want to prove that WX, this piece right here, and YZ, this piece right here, are congruent to each other.